In recent years, there has been greater focus on food security and agriculture in the development of a nation. Today, we'll be speaking with Kiraya and Zachary from the Future Farmers Think Tank charity and the work that they're involved in helping to get more young people involved in this area. I'm your host, Rashid Holder, and this is Positive Profiles. Kiraya, Zachary, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having us.
Tell us a bit more about Future Farmers and the work that you're currently doing.
So Future Farmers Think Tank charity would have started in 2021, and it started with a Future Farmers project which looked at the agricultural industry holistically, and then it also looked at the impact of youth or the youth involved in the industry, and one of the things that they found was barriers to entry within the industry. So through that project, what they did is that they brought together a group of young people to come together and to brainstorm and coordinate and create a supporting network within agriculture as a focus.
So, Kiraya, the focus is on getting more young people involved. How many members are currently involved, and what is the age range?
Well, currently we have about 15 members, and they're between the ages of 15 and 35.
15 and 35. So we get a good mix of very inexperienced persons and also people that, have a little, experience in terms of like 10 years, maybe 5 years or so doing agriculture.
Yeah.
Now, agriculture is a very broad heading, and I mean, there's so much that can be done, from an agricultural point of view. So tell us a bit more about how you're getting young people to be involved in this area.
Like you said, it's very, very broad. Agriculture could range from the inputs, which is from feed or fertilizers, all the way down to the supermarkets where he's getting the chicken or he's getting
the end product.
Exactly. So you got, lawyers who specialize in agriculture and manufacturing. You got engineers who focus on the production in terms of the tractors to the feed plants to the processing units. So agriculture in a whole is massive.
Huge.
So what are some of the projects that Future Farmers is currently involved in, where you're going out to that younger demographic to educate and really get them involved in what's happening?
Yeah, so we recently did a project which was funded by First Citizens, where we went out to schools and shared our storybook called the Great Okra Challenge.
Great Okra Challenge.
Yes.
I think I need to get a copy then.
Yes, please,
No problem. So this book was produced in the aim to help younger children understand where their food comes from and the whole dynamics of food, because a lot of young people believe that food comes from the supermarket because that's where mommy and granny goes and buy food.
Yeah.
But they don't know where the process starts. So the whole idea behind that project was to help them to say, okay, this is where your food comes from, and this is the process it takes to get to the supermarket.
And I'm sure that by learning the entire process or seeing the picture, the bigger picture, that was probably a very engaging experience with those young people.
Definitely, it was because we're excited to not only hear about agriculture and food, but to tell us what they know about it. Because within the schools, I mean, some of the schools are doing a really good job in terms of teaching them about agriculture, about soils, about food. So the kids were very excited.
Yeah.
Even read, want to come up on stage and engage and read to class and show off their skills as well too.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun, and I mean, there has to be some element of fun involved in agriculture that makes y'all as young people want to be involved. I know we often speak about some of the barriers, so maybe you can shed some more light on, yes, the barriers, but also what are some of the things you're doing that really convinces the younger folk to get involved in agriculture.
So one of the things that we see is like access to funding, because you need that initial capital,
Yeah.
especially if you're starting from ground zero. It's not like some people who may have had family there before, so they already have a base, so it makes it easier for them. But when you want to start, and then when you want to include technology and stuff, it comes
Yeah.
at a great cost. So yes, that can be a barrier. Also access to land, because many young people, they don't have the space around. But we don't want that to be a hindrance,
Yeah.
because then on the bright side you have things like hydroponics, or you can get some buckets or old containers, and you could start a little farm right on your veranda.
Yeah, like how you can start kitchen gardening
Yeah,
or something
so-
like that.
Yeah.
So like, so you got the barriers on one end, but what's engaged people to really continue is seeing. I mean, is fascinating to see something start from a seed
Yeah.
and become a fruit, and then you
Yeah.
can go and pick it and put it in your kitchen and eat it. And it's the same thing with animals for some people. You know what I mean? They just that experience of engaging and knowing that you got a finished product at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of professions can really show you that progression and get that type of feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's been a focus on what we consider, the academics. So, you go to school, you learn, you try to, get involved in certain professions. Most of the time you hear somebody say you can't be a doctor, a lawyer, or something like that, working in the office.
Yeah.
But the agricultural office offers a lot of diversity.
Yes, it does. And we also need to help people to see, yes, there is an academic side
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
agriculture.
Definitely.
Because there are a lot of people in Barbados and around the region and the world who actually have degrees, they got a master, the PhDs in agriculture,
Exactly.
and they're doing great stuff.
You even got botanists who get to go to space.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
Whoa.
Yeah, they
They
go
have
to
to know how they
Mars.
can grow stuff in
Well,
zero G.
I definitely learning a lot here, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that what messages you've been putting out. I mean, have you been partnering with any entities to really enhance the network and get a wider reach to that younger demographic?
Yeah, definitely. So we got, shout out to WIRED, which is the Walker's Institute for Research for Regenerative Agriculture. We did a biosecurity workshop out there. They were willing to provide their space. But then you got Ashilashi Foundation as well too.
Yeah.
We did a bucket challenge. And we was, well, not challenge, but we did a bucket session where the kids get to grow in buckets to see. You don't only need land, but you can also do it in your veranda. You can do it in your backyard as well too. So there's a host of other people who, provide that assistance and foundation to help empower youth.
Yeah, and I mean youth empowerment is extremely important, especially where we are seeing a lot of youth being involved in crime, and we just want to steer them in a different direction. So sometimes I think people have the misconception that if you go to school and you don't learn something, that you can be branded as a failure in society. But you can continuously learn by getting involved in agriculture. 'Cause I learn a lot here right now.
It's a continuous process, and no matter how long you have been in the sector, there are people who have been in the sector for years, because agricultural wise, we have an aging population, not only locally but regionally.
Correct.
And as time go on, all you see, all the technologies, the different advancements that are being netted out in the sector on the whole, globally,
Yeah.
it's like every day you can learn something new.
Cool. Well, this is what I want to conclude with, and I'm going to ask you, each of you to give me your response. Why is it important, to be involved, or why is it important, the work that Future Farmers is currently doing to get these young people involved in agriculture?
Well, I think it's very important because it gives them something to do, something to keep them not only occupied, but then at the end of it, they can feed themselves and their families from this.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be something big and elaborate. You could just start with a small bucket, and you grow a lettuce, and you could probably sell that to your neighbor next door, though. So that's
Yeah.
$5 that you didn't have this morning or yesterday or whatever.
And it doesn't take a lot in at least in that regard.
Yeah, it doesn't
Exactly.
take a lot.
And then on the other end of the spectrum, you know what I mean, agriculture is the foundation of the civilization
Yeah.
that we call today. So it's like, if you really want to make an impact in the world today, so
Yeah.
you got billions of people starving, you got billions of food wasting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can be a solution to some of those problems, and that starts with farming and agriculture.
Well, that sounds like, some very, interesting stuff that you're doing. And as I said, it's very positive, the work that you're doing. So I want to thank you both for being here with us today. And, Zachary, Kiraya, Future Farmers Think Tank Charity. Agriculture, the importance of it touches a wide cross-section of people. You've heard from Zachary and Kiraya as they've spoken about the projects that they were involved in addition to the educational aspect in terms of promoting and making sure that we have a future generation involved in not just agriculture, but the development of our nation. The projects that the Future Farmers Think Tank Charity touches a wide cross-section of persons. It educates, it helps to keep us informed about the importance of agriculture and why we need to focus a bit more on it for the development of our nation. I'm your host, Rashid Holder, and this has been Positive Profiles.